This conference will now be recorded.
Nice little robot. Yeah.
Is Alexis here?
It's been the same voice for about 15 years. It hasn't changed.
I feel like they can hire like a voice actor to do it, and that voice actor will be like so famous.
Yeah,
Actually, I am a voice actor, but
Oh
they can
yeah, you
hire
are.
me.
To do it.
Yeah, I'm a certified voice actor. But yeah, I don't do that here in my company, only for presentations and stuff like that.
You're a missed potential opportunity for them. Um,
This is awesome. See, we're already at 25 users, so we're already getting past the limits of what we hit on Discord last time we did this call. So
Perfect. So yeah, for today, this is sort of like our second community meeting, and it's also our end of year recap meeting. And there's a lot to talk about. We've got a really special announcement coming later in the meeting. But I wanted to kick things off with, the 1.3 release, which is hopefully coming over the next couple weeks. And Ryan's been talking about that a lot over stream and on Discord, but I'm going to hand it over to you to sort of, recap what's been going on with 1.3.
yeah, sure. And actually, let's see, I might just share my screen for a moment here. I did try and close every window that I had open. This is the machine I do all my development work on, and I had like 6 VS Code windows all in the background going at the same time, but let's see if this will work. I seriously, how many times do I have to restart Gotomeeting? Okay, forget it. The Mac preferences. I won't bother with that then. 1.3 is a minor release, obviously, but for me, it's a pretty major release because this marks the completion of a journey we've been taking with SSR for about 2 years now. I wanted every feature most of the features that are in 1.3, I wanted to release them with 1.0. It was the thing that delayed 1.0 for years. When I started Solid, I had built this fast, performant client-side, fine-grained reactive system, and people were like, server-side rendering? And I was like, yeah, whatever, who needs it? We can render fast in the client, not a big deal, right? And I just didn't see the potential originally. This was like 3 years ago, keep in mind, or 2.5 years ago. But over time, I did see that potential, and I wanted to build the best solution that we could for SSR and Solid. And while some people are aware, and the Solid Start project, which was kind of like pulling those ideas together, for me with Solid, it's always been about the primitives. It's been about how we can build the pieces that anyone can put the stuff together for themselves. Also, maybe not a secret, I've never been a huge fan of opinionated meta frameworks. I've never used them myself in real projects. They're great for starters, though. They're great for getting people familiar with projects. It's a good stepping stone, but I've never really used them. So this has been a long effort, mostly because real desire to give the fundamental pieces in such a way that we can get give people the best user experiences. So with 1.3 comes finally true streaming, HTML streaming on our SSR. And I got so much Discord going on in the background here. While obviously this might not be applicable to everyone, just like server-side rendering isn't applicable to everyone. This one's been important to me because ever since I saw server-side rendering implementations, they've seemed clunky and blocking, and I wanted to kind of bring the same client-side experience where you're not being blocked. You can render stuff as soon as possible to SSR, and that's what this does. There's a lot of details here. Honestly, more than I can go here. That's why I did a whole stream on the 1.3 release and streaming in general. But this kind of caps off. I mean, I say caps off, but really it's just the beginning as we build tools and stuff on top of this of a journey that we've been doing for a couple of years now. This kind of completes the baseline for what the SSR experience should be. That's probably the biggest thing about 1.3. So we're gonna be building stuff. We're gonna be playing with stuff for the next couple months, and really see how it works for us. I'm excited for streaming, as I said, because it has both the performance benefits of client-side rendering in terms of being non-blocking, and it scales well to slow networks. It's kind of like a universal solution. So this is a really cool thing, but there's a lot of trade-offs in the sense that things work differently. React has been going through similar cycles working on React 18, third-party libraries, fetching, CSS and JS, they all kind of have to go through slightly different patterns to work with streaming. We've already had streaming though for since 2019. So in a sense, we already have some experience with these patterns, but this kind of fills the gap. We're not just streaming data anymore, we're streaming HTML. So this scales better regardless of the type of device or network you have. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this because, it just has this ability to be kind of a great equalizer for SSR solutions. The other big thing that's coming with 1.3 is mostly coming around kind of new features around primitives. You're going to see a kind of shift in the next little bit, and that's because up till now, I've been largely focusing on my research in terms of showing what Solid could do. Can we do universal rendering, 3D rendering? Can we do that? Can we do concurrent rendering? Can we do what other solutions do? And mostly because I want people to be able to go out and go, okay, here's a baseline, now go build something with it. It's kind of now a time for a second pass. Like now that we know we can do it and do it performantly, what kind of patterns should emerge on top of this? And obviously there's been stuff like the Solid Primitive project, which is helping bring the community in to kind of see common patterns and publish them. But I'm also looking back again at the core, and some of those things that I think are the next place of good focus are things like around data fetching and resources, making things easier for people who, for common patterns. And that's something that's going to be of focus in the next little while after 1.3, right? And we're seeing the beginning of this in some of the experimental features that are coming out of 1.3. Things like the ability to patch in any reactive system. Shane, who created the Cairo reactive library, one of the most performant ones I've seen, was looking for a way to just use it natively in Solid. And he came up with a way that works just as well with MobX as with Cairo, or even if you want to bring view reactivity in, this ability to just use reactivity directly in your templates, in your JSX without wrappers. This stuff is still experimental, but this is the kind of thinking that's going into how we can build better user experiences or make it easier for developers to be able to use the tools they're familiar with, and enforcing better patterns. So this and stuff around async is going to be kind of the focus for the next little while, on top of obviously working on Solid Start, right? We're building out the next level of primitives on top of those foundations, and that's sort of what 1.3 signals, and it's going to be kind of the theme of this whole meeting. We're kind of doubling down on our primitives over frameworks mentality, and as I said, throughout the rest of this meeting, as we show what everyone else has been up to, I think you're going to see that theme throughout.
I wanted to ask you actually about the RFC you put out last week for that sort of mutation. I sort of view it as like the reverse direction of create resource, sort of like posting back to the server. And maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen an RFC written like that from you basically since I joined. So first of all, if you're watching and you haven't seen that RFC, go check it out. It's on the discussions page on GitHub. But yeah, how do you see those RFCs working, and like what are you looking for from the community on those?
Yeah, mostly, yeah, I mean, I have some ideas in my head. Everyone knows that. I kind of go off and do some research, and then I try and communicate it back. And sometimes I fail to do so great. Like I kind of, I've already taken things pretty deep down a direction. Mostly, once I kind of go there, I'm hoping to try and get just some feedback where people kind of picture it in their use cases. I expect pushback. I expect people not getting some of the stuff, but I mostly it's important. It's very easy for me to get very narrow-sighted on the goals or stuff I'm building, right? It's interesting because this pass, as I've been talking about on primitives, has mostly been pushed by stuff like Solid Start. It's actually the people tell you, when you want to like build like a framework or build like a tool, have a real project that you're building towards. And it's kind of funny how that works in layers. Usually that means a product, right? But like that you're selling to some end user, putting to some end user. For me, that product is another developer tool. So I do have to watch about getting, I don't know the term, too meta, like too much like inside my own little bubble, definitely. And I think that these RFCs provide a great way to get early feedback on those kind of features, because honestly, I'll throw some stuff at a wall and it just might not stick. So just look at the example, try it out. I just, I'm interested in anything anyone has to say about that stuff, because I am trying to attack this very generally, even if the problem I'm solving might seem specific.
Sweet, yeah. There's like this batteries all included, idea I'm getting from this, which is like, React has SWR and ecosystem tools to do all your fetching for you. And, here we're sort of approaching a middle ground where you can have in the core library reactive primitives that help you with those async stuff.
Yeah, like there's certain things that I don't want the responsibility framework if possible. There's difficult patterns. The most that I can push off to giving flexibility to end users to create these patterns themselves, I want to. But sometimes certain pieces just are close enough to the core of things that there's big benefit from us at least having a way to communicate with that internal piece. And I think a lot of this comes from once you put SSR in the picture, it changes the game essentially. Like there's more consideration about client server. Like you just can't ignore it. I mean, you can, but like it doesn't really serve anyone. And I think with the framework and that kind of orchestration, it's the best place that we can do it. But as I said, I still like to focus on primitives if possible and building blocks. I don't intend to create React query in the core, so to speak. There's too many opinions there, but definitely having the pieces so that you can latch into a system that we can optimize at the primitive level, like at the framework level, is definitely something that I think is really beneficial.
Awesome. Yeah. So everyone check out that RFC. And the next thing I wanted to do is give a little bit of an update for me on docs. So as you guys might know, my job at Solid is to think about docs. And part of that is docs infrastructure. So making sure it's as easy as possible to maintain the docs. And we've done a lot of work on that front. We have a Solid docs repository that isn't just a list of markdown files that you can edit. It's actually like now an NPM package that you can link to the Solid site repository and see your updates live as you're working on the docs. And we've been working on that integration, and it's super clean, and it's allowing us going forward to innovate a little bit more. So for example, just like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, Hi One, I'm not sure what his preferred name is, finished the MDX integration for Solid. And that's not just great for docs, it's great for anyone who's interested in MDX. But now we have a really easy framework for us to rapidly try out those kind of things for the Solid documentation. Another thing I mentioned I wanted to do in the last meeting was figure out like a better way to manage translations. So what I didn't want to happen was, I start working on docs, I start making new guides, and then like a month later, the Spanish translator goes like, wait a minute, what have you done over the past month? How am I supposed to catch up to this? What do I do? So I decided to create a automated table in each language folder in the docs repository. So if you go to the docs repository, I can't share my screen because there's some glitch, but if you go to the docs repository and go into any of the languages, you'll see a README file. And in that file is like this automated table. So anytime a push is made to the main branch, the table gets updated. So a translator knows what files have been updated since they last worked on it. And that's like a very simple implementation of this. But over time, I want to tweak it and work on it and say like, okay, maybe I can label commits. And so you have a nice message explaining like what exactly has been updated. And if you are a translator, I really want to hear from you and work with you to make this as painless as possible. So yeah, the docs infrastructure stuff is important, but the reason for it is so we can start working on content and start making better and better docs. And from here on out, my priority is specifically guides. The guides really haven't been worked on in a long time, and I want to start from the ground up to make sure each guide has a role. There's not like a huge overlap between the guides and tutorials like there is now. I want to make sure there's a learning path. So if you're a beginner, there's a path for you. If you're coming from React, there's a path from you. If you're coming from other libraries, if you're an intermediate, I want to make sure there's a learning path. And to do that, I want to work with the community to have the best guides possible. So Alex Laura already wrote a testing guide, which I was, super excited because now we have it's on the homepage right now. If you go to the Solid Docs page, you'll notice that the guides are no longer one page. It's a split route, and you can click on a different guide, and you can see Alex's testing guide. And this gives us the framework for other community members to write a guide for, for what they're good at. And it's much better this way that the community experts can write the guides, and I can sort of, go over them and make sure that the voicing is right, and the writing style is cohesive, rather than me doing all the research, on topics I'm not, the best at. So if you are, if you look at the guides and you think, wow, I want to write a guide for like deployment, I want to write a guide for, mobile first or whatever. One of the things I really want is a CSS guide, because there's so many ways to work with CSS and Solid. So yeah, I want to hear from you, and you can always reach out to me and talk to me about a guide you want to make. We have a couple more new features to the site that David has really been pioneering. So we have a blog now. And right now there's, the last State of Solid article on there. We plan on posting the next State of Solid article on there. I plan on posting my stream notes on there, which is another thing I wanted to mention. I'm going to go ahead and put in this community meeting chat my stream notes for the last 2 streams. But I hope to put those on the blog. We have a newsletter now. You can sign up for that on the site, and that will be pretty infrequent. So you'll just get, every few weeks, if there's a major Solid release, you'll get an email about that. You'll get the State of Solid articles to your inbox. And along those lines, I do want feedback on whether stream notes are useful. So it took me a long time to make these stream notes. Basically, all I do is I go through Ryan's stream, I listen to it, I transcribe things, and then I look things up and put it in the document. So like code examples, like I took it from the example repository he was working in and I stuck it in the document. Or like tweets and stuff I linked and all that. And the idea behind those is not a lot of people have time to like watch a whole stream, but they might get a lot out of these stream notes. But I need feedback. I'm leaning right now towards not doing it because it took so long. But it also serves as a starting point for coming up with articles. So you can like check out this introduction to compilation stream notes and then be like, oh, Dan, like we really need a introduction to compilation guide on, or whatever article. And we can turn that into a streamlined article. So I've been talking for a lot. Those are all of my documentation updates. I want to hear from you guys. And I want to pass this on now to David, because we have some pretty exciting community announcements, specifically some new, new roles.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, there's quite a bit to update everyone on. Just kind of building on a bit of the website updates. We've, before I get into the community details, so right on the website, we do have a new sidebar section for the documentation pages. Just kind of cleans up and makes it a lot easier to actually read the documentation. We're still improving it. We're still kind of finding the right usability patterns for the website, but over the past few weeks, we've put a lot of effort into getting it to a point where it is just a really elegant experience. We're also considering a lot of design revisions for the site as we go, just some color balancing, getting the branding down pat. There have been improvements to the media pages, as Dan mentioned, the blog, and the drop-down system as well. So those are all kind of general details. By the way, in regards to the newsletter, you can find it in the footer of the website. So as soon as you hit there, just scroll all the way down and sign up for it. you'll get an email confirming that you have been added to the list. So diving right into a couple fun updates. So in regards to ecosystem, we are adding 3 new team members to it. Our ecosystem is designed to basically help our community grow by drawing attention to users who've performed or created outstanding packages for the ecosystem. It's also useful in recognizing, I guess, a level of weight that person brings to the community. We also treat our ecosystem as kind of a think tank. So we bring a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts to them first, get a reaction, and then take core consideration from there. So our 3 new members are Oren, Sean, and Haiwan. And so each one of these individuals has either produced something really great or has contributed to the ecosystem in some meaningful way. And so I welcome them to ecosystem, and I hope that there will be meaningful and important additions to that group. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is we are expanding and creating a new role in the community. So just as we have core in ecosystem, I'm happy to introduce the addition of the community advocate role. And the intention of the community advocacy role is to recognize people in the Discord who help others out and are pretty much strong, solid advocates, individuals who have a passion for the project, may not necessarily contribute on the level of an ecosystem member, but have an interest in the project and passively work with it and have a deeper understanding of things. Also, individuals who just like hanging around our chat. There's a lot of really incredible conversations that happen in and around our Discord. And so the community advocacy role is to recognize people at that level. And with that being said, I want to induct our first member, and that's going to be Evie. You all know her as Discordaholic, and she's waving right now. Hello. And so I'm going to endow her with the ability to actually make selections of who our other community advocacy members are. Kind of handing off that responsibility because I don't really want to deal with that myself, honestly. So Evie, that is your role now. You get to select members that you believe bring a certain level of advocacy like perspectives and mentality to our Discord. In that regard, the advocacy role, we're still debating if it will have a level of permission in such as moderators. I would really like to have them treated as basically support individuals or people that you can turn to for questions regarding Solid. Evie, do you want to say something for a few minutes?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty honored to be considered the first to be the advocate role. I have been hanging around the Discord, and I do my best, even though I don't do a lot of programming in and around Solid. I'm still working actually with Alex to get our employer to switch to Solid on new projects and possibly extend to that. And hearing things like, oh, Solid being 4 times as small and 50 times faster, or was it the other way around? I can't remember. Is things that help sell Solid a lot, and it's the sort of thing you put, in an evangelist's Bible. So yes, I am going to be probably taking a closer look at who is contributing and who is discussing inside the Discord. And I think another part of my role also is to try to help bring whatever helps with moderation, whether or not I get, these actual powers. I do know quite a few things about bots and Discord, having been on Discord for many years. And I'm going to be helping decide whether we bring on new bots for moderation, automatic or manual, if there's any changes that we can do on the Discord as it gets more popular, because I do think that Solid is going to become, to have a lot of growth very soon. And I'm expecting that the Discord is going to grow in a pretty astounding fashion, and we have to be ready for that. And I'm going to be helping and preparing.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Evie. Having you on and just kind of taking that off our plate, honestly, is just such a relief, especially with the growth. I mean, just in the past, since we launched the Discord, which I guess now was a year and a half, something like that ago, maybe 2 years now. So it's just kind of exploded as this giant responsibility. And, as community manager, it is hard to deal with things like job postings that are not germane to our channel or our project, and just finding the right balance of conversations. There was a bit of an event yesterday in the general chat, and right away that had to be pruned. So having individuals that can help support that and bring on the right bots and optimize our whole community is amazing. So thank you so much. I'm really excited about bringing you on. So I'm going to transition the conversation a bit to some other things that have happened recently. We're seeing a lot of growth in the community right now. There's some really interesting conversations happening. I'm going to touch briefly on some things that Ryan's engaged in as well. The Learning with Jason chat that he had. If you haven't seen it, please check out the stream. It's listed in our resource section. It was phenomenal. I just seeing Ryan's reaction and Jason's reaction when they had that kind of aha moment. Like, I kind of got goosebumps from that moment. And just, I guess there's a lot of really really good gems coming out of the streams, and I want to see more of that happen. Theo also did a live stream where he worked with Solid and TRPC, and there were a couple of moments and a couple of quotes that that he had there that were really interesting. Myself and a couple other Solid ecosystem members were there, kind of helping him along and I guess pushing him through some of the tricky moments, like solving kind of the create resource fetch thing. So that's, I believe, what may have prompted a bit more of the RFC for mutations. And so anyways, it's just kind of interesting seeing this interplay of like influencers talking about Solid and wanting to work with it. Theo's excitement for it is really, really cool to see. There's also a healthy amount of skepticism I want to add as well. It's kind of like, what is this thing? How does it kind of change or affect the larger React ecosystem? And hearing a lot of like pro React developers go through that and give their insight and kind of be floored by some of the things that Solid does out of the box is really reinforcing of what we have here as a community and what Ryan's engineered so diligently over the past few years. So that being said, in regards to the broader community and broader ecosystem, and kind of bring my piece to a bit of a closure, my goal over the next little while is going to be pretty much trying to get these newsletters off the ground, creating more community outside the Discord. There's another big announcement coming. We're going to save that for the end, kind of as but wait, there's more moment. So aside from that, I think I'm done, Dan. I think I can hand it back to you.
Yeah. I guess one thing I wanted to just do is same thing we did last time is we have like a moment now for anyone who's in the ecosystem or in the broader community to say hello, share what you're working on if you want to. You don't have to. Just unmute yourself.
I think this is I think they have to have presenter status, or how does this work, Alex? Do we have to give them the ability to speak?
Sorry, he can. He should be able to speak in any case, but if he wants to present something, I can give him presenter. Who shall I make presenter? Joe?
I think Joe wants to talk.
I'll just say something real quick. Nothing big, but I started. I actually don't have anything to share, so I'll just talk.
Okay.
I started working on Doxify. I'm a maintainer of Doxify. The website is doxify.js.org, and I'll post that in the chat. But I started working on taking the steps towards porting the internals to solid.js. It currently has a bunch of imperative DOM code, kind of like jQuery-like inside of it. So I'm going to be converting that to solid.jsx, and then eventually we'll be able to make this into a solid component, and it'll be called Doxify with a capital D. And it'll be basically it generates a website that reads Markdown files and has routing built into it. And so it then lets you visit any Markdown file. It parses it and turns it into HTML on the client side. So it's really easy for total absolute beginners to use, because they can just stick the script tag into their page and then start loading Markdown files, and they don't have to know about build systems or anything. They just have to make a simple HTML file to get started. And so I'm going to keep this sort of simple workflow, but at the same time, I'm going to make it compatible with the JSX and the solid tooling, so that if you do have a build system, you'll be able to import the component and take advantage of the compile optimizations and things like that. And then one other thing I'm going to do to it also is I'm going to convert the routing system it has to using Solid App Router, so it'll be compatible with Solid Start. So you'll be able to plug into that at some point. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And that's it for me.
Shout out to you also on TypeScript stuff, which has been pretty impressive. I don't really understand most of it, but I can tell you've been paying attention to it, and we appreciate that.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have more coming down the line with that too.
Eric raised his hand. Let's just make sure you can.
Hey.
Hey, cool. Oh, you can unmute yourself. You're good.
Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt anyone else. I'm new to Solid world, finally writing my first Solid code, and I read the docs a while ago. And I've been working on integrating Solid into Meteor, so stay tuned on Discord, I guess, as I make progress. In particular, trying to get or getting the Meteor build system to play nice with Solid. And with almost no work, I got regular Solid working, so that's exciting. Server-side rendering, though, I'm not sure is possible with the current build system, because the server and client need to be babbled differently, as I understand it. So maybe I'll have to modify Meteor a little bit, but maybe there'll be a plugin. Maybe it'll just be right now I have a demo repo, which I can post, but doesn't do much very exciting, but just playing around with getting all the Meteor things, which I'm very used to, and working with all the Solid things. So maybe a guide someday. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
This is awesome news. Thank you so much for joining and sharing that.
Hey,
Joe's very excited right now. You can't see it in his face, but he's probably shaking.
I'm the other Meteor guy here, so yeah, and I've loaded Solid into Meteor before too. So yeah, maybe we can share ideas.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was surprised I didn't see much demo repos out there. So hopefully the first of many. I would definitely like to switch to Solid for my own projects. And now that there's Solid Bootstrap, I think that might be feasible.
I think also a Solid primitive for easily hooking Meteor reactivity in would be convenient for Meteor users.
Right. Yeah, there's a bunch of React stuff you may know in the Meteor world, and it'd be nice to build similar tools. First, I'm just doing it by hand to see what. Actually, I think it will actually be a lot easier than the React tools, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I wrote a few primitives for media stuff like devices and streams and stuff like that. You might want to have a look in Solid primitives.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
Sorry. To make sure everyone knew about the Solid primitives repository if they haven't yet. That's sort of our community collective of what David calls tertiary primitives, but basically helpers. So check that out.
Yeah. Hi guys. Caleb. I created the Solid Dismiss package, where when you click outside of modals or drop downs, it'll or focus outside of it, it'll easily close it. There's a little code set up for it. I'm also need to work on a new package, Solid Scroll Shadows. yeah, because of the holidays, I've been busy with other stuff, but as soon as January, I'll go like full throttle. And I just love being part of the SolidJS like party. It's just really cool, like the community. So yeah, excited to work with you guys.
Awesome. Hey, Evie, you can go next.
Yeah. So I have been in contact with the person that introduced me to Solid, someone that hasn't been very active in the community, but is working on stuff a bit secretly. And I'm probably going to be, ironically, advocating on their behalf. But essentially, there's a thing that SolidJS does exceedingly well, amongst other things it does really well, and it's web components. And I haven't seen a whole lot of focus on web components being used, but I am probably going to be able to offer some demos as a proxy to my friend who's doing a lot of exploratory work on his own. And I'll be very glad to show this on the Discord and probably in my own streams when that happens. So stay tuned for that.
I'm a big fan of this friend. I think he inspired me to bake muffins.
Yes. yes, he does love muffins.
Anyone else with anything you're working on? Oh yeah, go for it.
Hi guys. This is actually my first time trying to join a community and getting involved, so this is really exciting. And thanks to David for encouraging me to present what I was working on, because I was just going to be doing it on my own. But this is really exciting. So can I share my screen, guys? Let me see. Entire screen.
Thanks for coming on, by the way. I'm really happy that you took the invite.
Yeah, thanks for encouraging me. I'm really excited. Actually, I'm quite nervous, but yeah, I'm really excited as well. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can.
Oh, this is amazing. I saw this. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. So basically I'm coming from the React world and been a React developer for a few years, but very recently I started doing like 3D stuff in React. So React 3 Fiber is this amazing package that allows you to use the component model and do 3D stuff. And though like I found a problem where I was continuously just trying to like fight the render and make sure it doesn't keep rendering. So it was like a whole use memo hell and trying to figure out. Basically, I was trying to memorize everything, and what I really liked about Solid was that you memorize nothing until like you want to really avoid something rerunning, but mostly things are not rerunning unnecessarily anyway. We're getting these direct access. So I basically worked on a few packages to get a lot of this React 3 Fiber functionality into SolidJS, and most of it is thanks to Ryan getting in that universal renderer working, and that allowed me to get 3JS like elements rendering just like we have DOM stuff rendering, and basically like I'll just demo the game first and then maybe just show you a few of the libraries that get involved there. This is so you just play it. The UI here is not that great because I was mostly getting the 3D stuff working, but yeah, so you can play the game. And right now the other side, I just very recently yesterday got 3D stuff working here. Got sorry multiplayer stuff working here, so the other person can play on, like, you can just send them the link and they play the game, game in the room, and you can spin around. Just a small trick I put in here is you can have like stockfish engine play for black and then you'll definitely lose, but you can so you can try it. Um, uh, I don't even know if it tells you when you won because I haven't actually played the game ever till like winning. But yeah, so this is we have some lights here on the screen. I'll just show you some of the packages you already see in at work here. So we have the Solid 3 package, which is doing all the rendering here. Um, but I think behind the scene there are a few interesting things going on. So this panel here, if others have seen like Leva before, that's another package coming out of the React 3 Fiber space, which just basically gives you. So I'll just pull some code here. Basically, it gives you. So there's this hook. primitive that I have called use controls, and you just give it a key and some values, and then this basically is a store that is reactive, and you can basically control its value from just this UI here. And so that, so for example, piece, I have these colors that I can now just like start experimenting. Okay, what should my pieces look like? What should the board look like? And this is another package from the React space called React Colorful that I migrated to Solid. So this is Solid Colorful now. One interest, I was just trying to work on some, okay, this is not clear what's happening here, but I was trying to work on some dev tools to see like, okay, can I see the solid tree here? The the UI is getting mixed up, but yeah, I get some resemblance of the sort of the component tree there, because I thought the component tree is important for the dev tools. And I know Ryan really talks about the reactive graph, but I think like the component tree makes sense for me to understand, okay, what's being rendered. One interesting detail I wanted to show was, so right now we have the Babel transform that like in our normal solid apps that takes DOM code and converts into these very efficient templates, and it works really fast. And for the universal renderer, we have a different API for what the templates look like. We can't just have these strings that get created on runtime. And so Ryan worked on the Babel transforms differently for the universal mode versus when it's being rendered on web. And I needed a way to have both those modes working at the same time. So you see a file here which has the 3JS scene, and you see that it has a camera, a light, um, you have a provider, and the normal solid stuff just works inside. But also on the same page, I have in this chess room, I have a portal being rendered right inside this, where we have DOM stuff. And I needed a way to, I did not want to do all the DOM stuff in a universal render, because it was sort of a de-opt, right? So I was just de-optimizing out of all the good work Ryan had done. And so I worked on a custom Babel transform, or it's just like a modify the Babel transform a bit, where like it basically goes through the tree, and for different types of elements it does different transforms. So if like if they're DOM elements, then we get the nice template stuff, and all that stays optimized. But when we have 3JS elements, then those 3JS elements get compiled away to like very efficient, just small calls, and these almost directly always map to like either 3JS calls or 3JS property assignments. And yeah, you'll see like, okay, some of these things are being imported from Solid 3, some of these are being imported from Solid Web. And so we have basically sort of like a dynamic Babel compiler that can handle like different types of elements. And I was thinking like this could even get more optimized to, this could just be like a new 3-dot perspective camera call here if you want to make the renderer even more even more like dynamic and powerful. So yeah, these are just few of the libraries I've been working on to get some of these things going. Yeah, I think the code will always look very familiar to React developers or Solid developers, because it's just components, and then yeah, so like a piece component just sort of abstracts away all the, okay, where does the piece come from, what piece to render, and stuff like that.
This is
So
awesome.
Nikhil, yeah, this is mind blowing. So I want to point one thing out, because
Mhm.
from our conversation, I learned a couple details from you. So when did you start working with Solid?
Like a week back. So I've been doing, yeah.
You're a powerhouse.
You
You're putting
literally
us all to shame.
yeah, no, seriously, you've produced what, 4 packages? So that Leva component itself, so I posted on their GitHub that I wanted to port it over to Solid, and the response I got from them wasn't very nice. It was kind of like, yeah, you're gonna have to port these other 5 like heavy React ecosystem projects, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's not great. And so you just went ahead and did it. Like honestly, I wanted that package for solid primitives because I want to have that level of control in
This
it.
is
And and you just did it like in a week. That's insanity.
I want to
So
make sure I connect you with Milo, who has worked on some solid dev tools in the past. Dev tools is something I think about all the time, but I never have
Mhm.
time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the
I have
DevTools
another.
is really, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. The dev tools.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, the DevTools is one of the things that I think like I was looking at this talk from Swix and he had these like 7 lessons to outlast React. And one of them was, you need DevTools from day one because like, yeah, there's really no way around it. So I was just, yeah, trying to figure out. There's one trick I was trying to, so Inferno does this thing where it mocks out what the React DevTools expect on the host page. And so because Inferno is really close to React, so they can just use the React DevTools out of the box. But I think like if we can create the component tree, recreate the component tree from the render call, then I think we can plug into the React DevTools as well because it doesn't look that integration doesn't look too complicated. I think it's definitely doable for like initial thing, and then obviously like we need all the solid specific like okay, we want to know how the signals are
Yeah,
connected.
that's brilliant. If we could start by basically, using their component tree, and we can take
Mhm.
it from there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We really want you to stick around. Please, we'll tap you into the right places with the right team members. Dev tools is one of those pieces that's on our roadmap, and
Mhm.
we're all pretty desperate for it. So having someone who is passionate about making that a reality, and thanks for bringing up the Swix point. It is very relevant and very important, and we need to solve that if we're going to get more people onboarded. Solid. I had a quick question. So that multiplayer support, we didn't talk about it very much. Did you end up using the Cloudflare
Yeah, yeah,
sockets
yeah.
for that?
Yeah, it's
So
all based on Cloudflare workers and durable objects.
that's so awesome. Like I want you to write about it or talk about it a bit more. Like I personally want to use that tech for some of my own projects. So like you did that overnight basically. So
Yeah, it
it
was
sounds
really
like
simple.
it's really straightforward.
Yeah, it was quite. So I found one example where like somebody's already worked on a game kind of a thing using durable objects. So it already had like a few abstractions like a room abstraction where like okay you have these a room that people come in and now inside the room you just have those people interact with each other. And so I just did like okay you just send your chessboard state across and then the chessboard state is really tiny so then both clients then just sync up their state very quickly. But I think the stack is very exciting like so um, and I was thinking of like I know Ryan doesn't like opinions, but I was thinking of going for like a Cloudflare based sort of full stack framework where like even because it has persistence already built in with KV stuff, it has durable objects. I think is a really great primitive, especially for games and all, because like whipping up WebSocket servers is so frustrating. I don't want to ever figure out how to do that on a deployment platform. So just the fact that you can just like okay upgrade a worker call to a WebSocket connection, it's really simple stuff. And I think there's some room for abstraction there because the great thing about durable objects is like for example I can write like a room durable object and then you can just like export it from your worker. And I think like it's a crazy level of composability sort of that I mean you can compare it to almost like components because you can have like the durable object is like a stateful unit of like composable sort of functionality that you can then make it talk to other durable objects or make it talk communicate with other workers. It's very exciting and I'm just learning about this stuff. But yeah, I think it was very motivating to see that I can just get something done over like a few hours, get something working.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this is incredible. I hate to move on because we could talk for hours about this, but we have a very exciting final announcement. We only have a few minutes left. So David, get to our big community announcement.
I didn't realize that we're going to lock it in for an hour. I mean, I guess whoever wants to stick around, please do, because these conversations are what make our community. And like just Nikhil, you coming on and just dropping kind of like that bomb on all of us after like a week of working with the tool is like I'm blown away,
No,
honestly.
but all thanks to all this great work that you guys have been doing. I got answers very quick. Oh, the docs are amazing. Like I got answers very quickly for any problem actually I had. I didn't even need to wait for like okay to get responses from people.
That being said, you are very clearly an advanced user, and so you find the docs, which we feel right now are very much tailored to more of an intermediate, higher
Yeah.
level user, and our goal is to pretty much make it, more reachable to a broader, maybe less advanced audience. So thanks for saying that, but we feel like there's still a lot that can be done to bring it to the next level.
Yeah, no, I've
Um,
already seen like all of Ryan's streams, so I was already knew most of the stuff, but yeah, I don't think like yeah everybody's going to do that. Makes sense.
Well, stick around. I think you're on a fast track for ecosystem. I think, and I'm just kind of throwing that out there, but I think it sounds like you deserve to be a part of that group. So continue doing amazing work, and we'll talk more about that and get you kind of more embedded with the people doing great stuff. Okay, I'm going to quickly transition to the announcement, and I mean we're really hyping this up a little bit. So basically, a couple of months ago, we sat back and I was really, really concerned with how are we going to hit critical mass? How is Solid going to finally reach a kind of a mass audience? And I kind of put that in the back of my mind and said, whatever happens, happens. Like it'll take its time to get there. And, we're under no illusions that, this could take months, it could take years, whatever is required, let it happen. But at the same time, I kind of realized that there's a lot of people out there that are very interested in building things for Solid, but may not necessarily have a reason to, because they can't work on it in their job. Solid's not deployed at scale yet, or sorry, not deployed in companies yet. There's really very small practical uses where they'd be willing to onboard it and then work with it as a utility. And that basically leaves it up to developers to use it as, for hobby projects or, side hustles or whatever it might be, or just passion projects. And for that reason, I kind of wanted to build on that and give them even more reason to at least try it. Because as we've learned, anyone who actually starts working with Solid, pushes themselves over that hump of being, oh, it just looks like React. There's nothing special to it. Once you start working with it and you recognize the benefits of no hook rules and, the beauty of actually working with JSX, and, all the other, the gambit of benefits of working with Solid, um, you I guess having that kind of like it's clicked in my mind moment, that's what we're aiming for here. And then once you've had that moment, I think you're a convert, and then you just naturally want to use it wherever you can. So that's a very long way of explaining the why, but I'm happy to announce that we are going to launch a hackathon, and we're calling it SolidHack. And part of this project, it's an experiment. Launching a hackathon is not an easy task. It is, something that's going to require a lot of attention on our side in regards to the rules, regulations. When I first brought the concept to Ryan, he made it very clear that if this is going to be done, it has to be done properly, it has to be done in a fair manner. And, I think he also, for a brief moment, said, and I don't want to judge. So the way that we're kind of structuring this entire hackathon and the decision making of who the winners are, we're taking a different approach from your more traditional hackathon. It's also going to be a longer window for the event, so it's not going to be like a weekend or anything like that.
3
We're
months.
planning 3 months, exactly. It's going to be 3-month effort, and within that time, we'll have different levels of openings. So this will commence, and we'll announce more details regarding the hackathon. Basically, I think it was January 7th that we settled on, and it'll last for 3 months. After January 7th, two submissions will be accepted mid-February. That's when we're going to be launching a portal. And within that portal, people would be able to sign on, authenticate with their GitHub, and basically make their submission directly. There will be a voting mechanic. That's how we're structuring it. So a public vote that will also be authenticated through a GitHub login. What else can I tell you right now?
We have $9,000 of corporate sponsorship. That's the prize.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I was trying to save that for like the
Just say
whatever.
it.
There, we got 9,000 US dollars that we're going to be giving away. That's from 3 amazing corporate sponsors who've come on board. They are Stitch, Builder.io, the amazing folks from 402. Some of them are on this chat. I see Sean smiling right now. And my own entity, Pilot, will also be donating as
Just want to
well.
make sure, is the founder of Stitch here?
Yeah, I was told that they would drop in if they had a moment to say a couple words. And so if they are around, I'm not sure exactly who it will be, but please raise your hand so that we can identify you.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. We're super appreciative.
Yes, extremely. Okay, maybe they didn't make it. I may have messed that up because I told them that the link was in the Discord. So
Hey, people are busy. It's cool. But we have a splash screen already. If you go to solidjs.com/hack, I'll post this in Discord, obviously. You can check out a little bit of the official announcement there.
yeah, and I can also share my screen briefly so that more people can see it.
Yeah, we still need to fix the contrast. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah. So basically the basic details for the hack will be here. It'll be $9,000 given away through 3 separate categories. There will be chances in different segments, so it's not just one grand prize. It will be carved up. There's still an opportunity that we'll get more sponsors on board. So if you are interested in contributing, please get in touch. You can contact us at community@solidjs.com, and I'd be more than happy to discuss further, bring you on board as a major or minor sponsor. Stitch has been great. They put quite a bit of capital behind this, and Builder's part of our ecosystem. They've been a sponsor for a long time. Steve couldn't make it. He's in Florida, lucky guy. So he wasn't able to jump on. Aside from that, it's going to be interesting. This is definitely a unique opportunity. I don't think that this has really been done in the open source space the way that we're imagining it. And this is very much, admittedly, an experiment to see how things go. And we're going to cross our fingers, try to plan it as well as we can. The rules and regulations will be going live on the 7th. And we'll basically just update the solidjs.com/hack website. And yeah, that's about it. That's the exciting news. And I really hope that we're going to see some really incredible projects. Like Nikhil, it would have been awesome if you submitted your chess project. Can you imagine like just clicking through all the different projects and being like, this is insane. The stuff that we're going to see just flow through this, I'm really hoping will be next level kind of stuff. And sure, we're going to see like a broad range of projects, people creating utilities here and there or full on apps and applications. The only the only requirement for the hackathon is that it is built in Solid, obviously. So, let's see what comes out of it. If you want more information and to track any further announcements on the hack page, there's actually the sign up, the newsletter. So just pop in your email there, and we'll make sure that everyone gets notified as soon as there's new information. And with that, I think we've hit the 130 mark, Dan. So
you can stick around. I just wanted to make sure some people have jobs that require.
They have to get back to for sure.
Yeah. But like if there's any takeaway from all of this is that we really care about Solid community, and huge thanks to David. Like I feel like every time we do these meetings we need to give a shout out to David for like how bullish you are on the Solid community. This is not like a throwaway for him. This is not like, oh, we have a framework, now let's have a community. Like no, the community drives the framework, and like that's how David has always like viewed this, and it encourages all of us to basically work our asses off to make this a thing. So thanks to you.
I do crack the whip a little too much, I gotta admit.
Hey, I appreciate it, and man, I'm really excited that everyone showed up today. I love being a part of this community, and I love seeing everyone and seeing what everyone's working on. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Do we want to do Q&A, Dan?
Oh, Ryan, do you have some time?
Yeah, and I also have I do want to mention something. It came up, we talked about the TypeScript. Big part of the Joe's TypeScript stuff is in the 1.3 release. And I didn't mention this when I was talking about 1.3. There's an RC candidate available right now. It takes a little bit of fun to install because of like npm legacy pure defs and all that kind of stuff in actual projects. You might have to run it with that command, but you should try it. Give us feedback, make sure the new types work for you. If you're already using streaming SSR, make sure we didn't completely break everything on you. You know, that, I mean, we probably did a bit. There are some breaking changes in the changelog, but 1.3 is available and very close to release. So it's on the next tag on npm. So do try to give it a shot if you can get a chance before the release. I'm looking in next week, but just gotta shore up the docs and all that kind of stuff. So. But
please let me know if there's a type issue. Mostly everything should be covered, but there might be an edge case that isn't.
Yeah.
And it should be easy to fix it on the consumer end.
Yeah, so if there's any questions or anyone wants to do, we can do a bit of a Q&A now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Go ahead. When I've been exploring the Meteor integration, and Meteor has this notion of fetching in a Mongo collection, which gives you an array of results, and then you can get changes to that array as insertions at particular indices. And I think the typical case is you're appending as more results come in, and I don't see, like a natural place this could fit maybe is in store. Store seems to have the ability to modify specific elements of an array, but not to append and not to insert in the middle. Insert in the middle, I mean, you can't really do efficiently anyway if you're using an array. I was curious if this is something anyone's thought about. How to, like if the array is not huge, it's probably fine. Your for is already doing ID duplicate detection, so it will only actually render the new things. But I know you're really into efficiency like me. So.
I understand. Are they actually not shipping the full data set and only shipping the pieces that change? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Over the Mongo does this diffbox, or Meteor does this diffbox thing to only send over the wire the new item. So if someone else inserts a result that would be the result of this query, then only that diff gets sent to the client, and so the client should know that only this one item was added.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, that means you can keep referential equality when doing stuff like the for loop. Generally speaking, we clone the array, and I mean, I even clone the array at 10,000 elements in a benchmark, and I'm not sweating over that. And do the insert that way. With a store, right? If you know that information, you just have to be able to read that information coming in and be able to basically create the new array with adding the new data, the same way you would if you added a row in the client, let's say. Cloning the array, obviously, on like really big data sets has considerations, but then at that point you can't really use for anyways because it's a reconciliation thing. If we're just talking like a chat app where you're appending to the end, you might want to do something different.
I think the main thing I worry about is, in principle, depending on how you access the data, you could get these one at a time, and then you get an n squared effect from reduplicating the array n times. I could probably work around that some other way. But,
yeah, batching.
Yeah. Doing one duplication, whenever some data changes, is probably not the end of the world.
Yeah, insertions are always kind of tricky, this kind of stuff. The problem is, even if you use like a mutable proxy, and it's getting a little technical here, but even if you use a mutable proxy, like it's still doing a bunch of stuff. Like it'll hit every proxy trap. Like if you insert in the middle, every index after that will like trigger the proxy and get and cycle the whole thing through the whole list. So like there's no like, I actually found that cloning the array was actually the best thing we could do, but I know that like I'm pretty sure there is a tipping point on that with a large enough data set. So but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think that's kind of has to fall into much more. It's interesting because that's a common pattern in Meteor, but it's also like if cloning isn't good enough, then it kind of falls into an advanced pattern kind of area, I think. And also, I think it's interesting to figuring out how stuff like resources play when you have that kind of deep nested thing. And if you want to use things like suspense and whatnot, we're probably going to need to figure out patterns for that. Most of my work has been working the fact that most backends are dumb, so that you have to diff anyways. So then, that kind of piece could be just like a key ID based diff kind of experience. But if the backend's granular, I mean, we should be able to leverage it better.
Yeah, and to be clear, the existing React stuff is always rebuilding the array. I think it is, it does do the ID deduplication stuff too. So we're already competitive with that, but it would be cool to do better. I guess the proper thing is to store a balanced binary search tree or something instead of an actual array. And maybe that's worth building as a tool and as like a, what's it called? Solid primitive, I learned today.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I'd like to see work here. I know people who were working with the proxies, working on an array reconciliation algorithms that weren't diffs, like just purely fine grained. But the problem is they could never handle efficiently the case when it wasn't like that, when it wasn't a series of steps. Like when someone goes, here's the new array, they have to diff it. Like there's just no avoiding it. So trying reconciling both patterns and sequence orders of batching different changes of the arrays became, the complexity was worse than just cloning it, right? Because like you essentially have, like if you insert a bunch of stuff, depending on the order you insert it, you actually move the indexes of other indexes in what you are going to apply in the future. Anyway, sorry. I think
you need the indexes.
The answer right now, we'd have to kind of play with it.
Cool. Yeah.
I have a question about the arrays. Has anyone benchmarked if it's quicker to clone the array versus if you insert in a plain array, not a proxied one?
It's quicker to insert in a plain array.
So that makes me think then that we could probably just make a reactive array class where instead of triggering all the proxy traps, it just triggers for any property access. So the downside is if a property didn't change, it would still be reactive when you're reading it. But then we could just trigger a reaction anytime you insert or anytime you push or, on any of the other methods. So it'd be an alternative in a sense.
Guys, I'm just going to interject, and I love the conversation, but we should definitely bring it maybe to an offline chat. And, I think people do want to jump off, so just leaving it open to general questions. And sorry to cut you off. I know it's a really engaging thing, but I want to be respectful of everyone's questions. Is there does anyone have any other question or comments? If not, I guess we can call it.
I'll stop recording now. Thank you for joining, y'all.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alex.